Welcome, everyone. We are back. I know it's been a while. It's Vig Free. Got my man Brian Rast here as usual. But our guest today, Melika Razavi, World Series of Poker bracelet winner. She won the Bounty Tournament online back in September 2020 for a World Series bracelet on GG. And she's also playing some of the highest stakes poker in the world right now at the Triton event. So, Melika, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me again. I really appreciate it. It's always fun chatting to you.
Yes, well, great to have you back. And Rast, I want to actually dive right in because you were in the booth on Malika's deep run, and I believe $30,000 buy-in, or was it?
Yes, it was a 30K buy-in.
30K buy-in. She finished 11th place, but kind of more exciting than that. Rast, why don't you tell me a little bit about what you saw?
Yeah, so I was in the booth, 30K 6 max, and Melika was one of the chip leaders for a very long time, leading up to the final table. And actually, that's correct, right? Yeah. And I believe actually, like right on the bubble, her and Fedor were the two chip leaders, both with over 3 million, both at the same table. Actually, kind of unfortunate for you in that he was directly in position. A little bit annoying, like 3 tables left or whatever. And you'd like to be able to just ravage, but now you have like the one guy who can hurt you directly in position. So yeah.
And he knows exactly what he's doing. I mean, he's one of the greatest players of all time. And I'm sitting at that table and thinking, hey, I know we were on a bubble and I want to put pressure on the guys, play wider ranges. And then like he's sitting on my left and it was so much more difficult for me to play the game as I wanted to, but I still try.
Oh yeah, no, you did great on the way up to the bubble. I mean, you were maintaining your stack or even building. But yeah, there was one hand in particular that I kind of wanted to go over because I just thought it was a cool hand, right? So if I remember, you're on the button, you open. I don't remember the blinds, but I think Sam Greenwood was in the big blind. You had over 3 million. Fedor folds small blind. Sam calls the big blind with like 600K.
I think he had about just over 400K.
Okay. And then I'm not going to say the hands right now, okay? The flop is Queen, Jack, Deuce, Rainbow. He checks. Do you remember your sizing? I don't.
I bet about 1/3, I think, there. Just 40%. I think I bet 40%.
Okay. He calls. The turn is a 3, I believe, bringing a club flush draw. He checks. And if I remember, you put them all in for a little more than pot. Let's say like 1.2 or something, right?
It was, as I said, his total, I think, 400, but I did go over the top. I think it was 2x pot almost for him to
Okay, so it was
I think it was around there. Obviously, you play so many hands, so it's like difficult to remember a specific hand. But I did just shove all in, like putting him under pressure to get him out of like a lot of the straight draws, flush draws, or even a pair of jack.
Yeah, and so he actually had Jack 10, which is a tough hand to call because like the 10.
Bubble.
Well, not only is it the bubble, but obviously even the 10 kicker blocks a lot of of your higher equity semi bluffs, let's say. But I that hand stood out to me because you didn't have. Actually, Jack 10 would have you drawing dead if he had called.
Yes.
You had 8-5.
I had 0 equity.
Yeah, 8-5 with one club.
Savage.
And I was like, okay, that's savage.
Yeah.
She just abused him right there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a cool hand. It stood out to me because it's when you're in the booth, it's kind of like one of those things where you see a lot of hands where people are playing like somewhat standard. But then you definitely notice the ones where people don't for whatever reason. It's not, you're like, and by that I mean, you see some hands where it's like, okay, well, almost everyone is making this decision here. But then at some point, in hands, you get spots where, okay, like not everybody does this. And then you're like, okay, like, let me think about this. And I just thought that was cool because when I'm thinking about the hand, I'm like, wow, well, she is really putting Sam in a lot of pressure.
Yes.
He folded a jack.
You see, also, I think that's why one of the reasons I love playing live games is also because body language is very important. I've studied body language, psychology, just because of poker. So I wanted to understand more of humans' body language. And with that, when I looked at him and when I was playing with in that hand specifically, as I remember correctly, he wasn't very confident about his hand. And I was thinking either I'm going to check back right now and give up. And then I thought, you know what, I'm going to go with, I bluffed the hand. I'm just going to go all in right now. I'm not going to pull back. Like sometimes in poker, we all do weird things. It's even the top poker players in the world, you're just like, what is he doing? So as long as you know you are making that mistake, or as long as you know this is not the right move, that you would do it all the time, and you do it here and there, you just need to have that gut and say, you know what, I'm going to go for it. It doesn't matter what anybody thinks, because I'm sitting, yes, in a live game on the TV table, and I know everyone is watching me, and I know I'm going to have a lot of judgment. People are going to be like, oh, look, she's just like spewing money, or she's, a lot of people would have that judgment.
Yeah, people are very judgmental.
It takes courage on the TV table, because
Yes.
people will see the hand, especially if you do something that's like not standard. That's
right, because it also, it's like, as cool as it is when it works, it's genius and it's exciting, and not if you call it, if you have 0%, it looks like, wow, what is this person doing? Like, so that's very cool. Actually, that was another, we have a lot to talk about. Magician, beauty pageants, Miss Iran Global, have done a bunch of different things. So we have a lot to cover, but just on the poker side, how do you use it for your advantage? Because these guys mostly know each other. There's a lot of people playing these training events, the business side too, like guys have played, and then a lot of top players in the world. And you obviously, you played some high stakes cash games, but a lot of these people probably have never played with you. So how do you use that to your advantage?
Funny that you actually asked. Like an hour ago, I had a conversation with the guy about the event, and he said, well, you're not plus EV right now in these games. You shouldn't maybe play this. And I said to him, you know what, if I don't put myself in this situation, if I don't put myself in this field, if I'm just going to be scared that, I'm going to lose, and I'm never going to gather that experience. All of the guys that are here that are the best today, they've started from somewhere. So it's like baby steps. Yes, I might not be on the top right now, but I'm gathering information. Every single hand that I play, I can see how they play, what they think. It teaches me a lot. So I'm so grateful that I was able to play this event, and it did make me realize a lot of different things that is completely different than any other event I've ever played. Like, well done to Triton, honestly.
Yeah. The thing you said on the last, I am going to take it back real brief. It's like when you have a live read like that in the moment of like, okay, he feels uncomfortable. That actually changes the situation a lot, especially when you're right. Like, it's in that situation on the bubble, if you have a read that he's not strong, you're actually probably supposed to just bomb everything and maybe actually check back value. Like, that's how strong that read can be, right? So, I mean, it's one thing to say, oh, like, it's the wrong play, but that's the funny thing about it is that, when you have reads, especially powerful reads in situations, it can like drastically change what a right or wrong play is. And I think people can get too caught up in, oh, I need to replicate what like a solver would tell me here. Okay, great. Like, that's if you have zero information, but like, that's not the case in live. And it's cool that you like made a read in the spot and then like had the courage to go for it. Right. In a spot with like zero equity. So that was cool. And I just, that hand, I mean, I met you for the first time a couple nights ago, and if you remember, I was like, told you the exact hand because that hand stood out to me. I thought that was cool. So yeah, cheers.
And thank you. I just wanted to remind you. Do you remember I was sitting very short stack. This is also the hand that actually like I could have gone completely broke, and a lot of top players, they told me that they would have lost all the chips in that hand. Then I had 2 pair, 4-5, and then the guy turned his set. So I was just like playing very passive. I didn't raise a flop, which I would usually raise a flop. On the flop, I have a 2 pair. I check call. Turn comes a 9. It was a check river. I check, and he make a massive bet on the river, and I just flat call him, even though with the 2 pair. And he had a set. And every poker player I talked to, they said they would have lost all the chips in that hand. So, you can say you play right or you play wrong. It's also how you look at it, and if you're sitting in that moment and feeling the pressure, and it's my first time playing such an event, feeling that pressure, trying to think, what can I do here that is best for me, yes, maybe it's stupid, but based on your reads and based on how you play, I would just go for it.
Yeah, no, it's well said. Well said. And we do have to mention that you have won a World Series bracelet, because on the podcast we were on my podcast back in September 2020 or late August, you hadn't had a bracelet, and then like a month later you did. So tell me about that. 2,200 players. It's one of the first events online, because you had said you want to go to Vegas to the World Series. You couldn't get a visa at the time with, I believe, Trump, and just like the way the legal stuff was set up. So what was that like for you to win that bracelet? And do you remember the heads up match? And tell me a little bit of how that tournament went for you.
It was the most amazing feeling. Obviously, as I mentioned before, it was just so overwhelmed. I was so overwhelmed. I was running around the house with the laptop in my hand, like screaming on the final table. And, it was just amazing. Like looking back at it, especially like I always kept telling myself, like, you're going to get there no matter what, whether you're sponsored or not, whether if you have you are working with a company or not. And we did talk about this back in 2020.
Yeah.
And I said, like, unfortunately, just because I'm Iranian, I cannot be an ambassador. I cannot, but I'm not going to give up.
Right.
I'm going to prove to myself that I can do it, so the rest of the world can see, wow, she has actually tried and she has achieved it. And this was a conversation in your podcast. And a few weeks later, when the WSOP was held online for the first time due to COVID, I decided, you know what, let me just play. And the first event I played, I got the bracelet. I was just overjoyed. I cannot explain the feeling. I'm sure like all the poker players know exactly what I'm talking about. Everyone dreams of that moment. Everyone actually dream of that moment, is standing in a live game in Vegas to get the bracelet. But I think it didn't take anything less for me. Like, it was just amazing feeling.
For sure. Well, we do have to point out that is on GG Poker, and that is actually right now, right? It's September 2022, and there are bracelets awarded online, including the main event, which is coming up, a 5K buy-in, 20 million guaranteed. Are you going to be able to find a time to play? Because you can play from Cyprus. Have you looked at the online schedule, or are you just got a bracelet now? you're done.
You can play from the Cyprus.
Yes.
On GG.
I clarified that because I know it's kind of the country has some different rules, but it is available to play. So.
You can play from here.
Yes. So that might be something you look into before you leave?
I would definitely play it. Definitely.
Very cool. And I got to ask again about women in poker. This is something, we've touched on. There's two women that played the $200,000 buy-in, the Coin Rivet Invitational. Pretty crazy, right? I think in the history of poker rests, maybe like Kathy Laney, Ebony Kenny obviously played this one and made the final table, but there's not many women that have played high roller, 100K plus buy-in. So tell me about that feeling, what it was like to get in the tournament, to be able to play, and just sort of your overall takeaways from that.
To be honest, it was literally the last minute, the night before, I got notified that I'm going to put you in. And I was like so shocked, so surprised. It took me a while to...
You just pick up and we'll edit this out. Always just tell them to say nothing. I don't know what they're calling. Oh.
Okay, telephone, put it sideways so no one can play.
Yeah, it's fine. All good. So I'll redo that part.
I'm just gonna.
Yeah, we'll do like so they know to edit it. What time is this at? Just so I can. Okay. And how are you doing, Rest, with your thing?
So far, no message.
Okay. So what was I saying about the 200K?
So about the 200K, there was 3 women, isn't it? There was that Chinese. She's Chinese.
You're
she played
right.
That too. So,
yeah.
So
I'll mention.
I was gonna say.
I think it's only 3 though.
Yeah,
3.
only 3.
All right. So I'll redo that. So and tell me, the $200,000 Coin Rivet Invitational, the $210,000. So there was 3 total women. Sophia Zhang, who I know has played several high stakes buy-ins. Kathy Laney's not here, but she does. Ebony Kenny made the final table, scored a huge score, and you played. So tell me what it's like representing women in such a minority in this type of situation. How does that feel, and how was your experience?
It was amazing feeling. Obviously, as I talked to you before about this, that I was not going to play this event. And the night before, Phil, I spoke to Phil, and then he said he would put me in. I was so obviously overjoyed. I was like, wow, is this actually happening? Is this real life right now? Is this happening to me?
Well, there's a lot of Phils in poker, maybe the most common big name. So Phil Nagy. Phil Nagy, correct. So he played.
He offered to put me in. And I was overjoyed, and I got to play it. Unfortunately, only played 3 level and got knocked out with a bad beat. As I mentioned again, when I walked there, I froze for a few seconds before getting up the table because I couldn't believe I actually lost this hand. And also, this was like the biggest tournament I've ever played. So
Right.
there was so much emotion inside of me that I cannot explain. There was so much emotion. And I just walked and I just didn't know how to act. There was a camera in my face. I just tried to get away from the camera. And
Right.
walk
They're
in a
probably like, they
different
want to
direction.
interview, come over here. Meanwhile, you're just like, well, you
I
know, please,
couldn't.
I
It
can't.
was the first time ever. Like I've played high stakes. I've played many tournaments. I never get emotional. As long as I know I played it good, I didn't make mistake, then I don't feel bad. But this was just like very emotional for me when I got
And,
bad.
I know the feeling actually. Even though it wasn't like the first high stakes tournament ever, but the feeling at the first $1 million, I played the first one drop. I got knocked out. I actually made the final table. Our good friend Antonio, who you know, Iranian as well, won. And I got knocked out with like a pretty sick cooler hand. And it's that feeling when it's like all those in front of you are gone. You're kind of like, oh man, I guess I'm done.
I have to go, right?
Like,
I want
have
to stay.
go. Like, everyone's having fun.
I'd like to
This
just
is
sit and
great.
watch even. Can I hang out?
I have to leave.
Yeah.
And all these people are gonna have fun. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna win the 18 million. It's over.
Yeah.
You know, and so
it's
and then also a little bit of disbelief. You kind of don't want to answer any questions about anything. You know, but it's,
I will actually. An interesting side note to this is like you may be thinking. I think it's one of the interesting things for women in poker. I don't have full, obviously, but like I feel like there's a lot of kind of haters a bit, or to use that word lightly, or people that are kind of like jealous or envious, right? So it's like part of like Melika getting asked to play. Maybe you could mention Phil saw you play. This isn't just like, oh, hey, someone's in the casino. Let me throw 200,000 in on someone who, is obviously someone who's a beautiful woman. Like, oh, let's play. No, it's like he played with you. He saw you, right? You guys play together, or he saw the hand. He knew like you're bluffing, you chips, you have experience. You carry yourself well. It's not just like, let's take a flyer.
Bracelet.
Yeah, you want a World Series bracelet.
Yeah.
You're playing live. You play high stakes cash games. It's not like a crazy move by him.
It's very hurtful when I talk about it because I got very bad reactions when I said to a lot of people that I'm playing it. I got very bad reaction, especially from a woman that I never expected because I was so happy to see women are like playing in the event and I was so happy for them. But I was very sad that night. After doing the seat draw, I walked away from the event and I went to my room and my friend was sitting with me and I was so heartbroken to see why would people envy you for wanting to play this, and like never forget that if any other woman is in there, they also got the same opportunity as me. So like I was very heartbroken. I tried the next day to meditate, go to the salt room and like take it off me because it took me by like it was
in poker envy like will destroy you.
Because
the thing is there's tournaments every week and somebody's always winning it, and if you have the problem that you're envious of other people's success, that'll really eat you in poker because it's like so easy to just get lost down that hole.
I think my point too is like that's the problem a bit is like there is some extra pressure and extra stresses, right? Because people will judge maybe, oh, like how did she get in or why is she in, right? Like why, you know what I'm saying? Like I feel like that kind of energy can happen, right? So it's like
I would expect it less from a woman, but if it comes from a woman that's also playing an event, it was just like, no, don't like, I support you. It doesn't matter what. We are the woman inside this event. We have to support each other. And regardless of like how people reacted to me, I was until the end very supportive towards both of the women. And I was so proud of Ebony that she made the final table. I was rooting for her when she was a short stack before the bubble. I was rooting for her. I hope she's going to make it.
She almost bubbled.
Yeah, she was 2.5 blinds. It was crazy. And I remember you were saying, I hope she makes, I hope she does well. And like, that's great. I mean, that's the kind of energy and spirit, which is great.
Because she's a woman. I want to see her do, history. It doesn't matter if it's me or if it's another woman. As long as women make it, it will empower others to say, you know what, she's done it, so why can't I?
Right. Well, I mean, look, 3 out of 90 entries in the 200K were women. That's a pretty low percent.
I mean, and that's a low percent, but it's actually high for an event like this.
Right.
Like 1 in 30.
Yeah.
I mean, that's above average for
Yeah.
a nosebleed like super high roller.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I think if that gateway, I mean, I think everybody, not even just women, but obviously women more, but even men, like me sitting in the booth, I was stoked to see it. Like really happy because, I mean, think of it this way, that's half the population in the world that kind of, let's not say they don't play poker, but like a much smaller percent play poker, which is part of the reason why you see, less women playing these super high roller events. And, that's like a huge segment that if they get a little bit more excited to play, if they have, usually, people aren't trailblazers, but they'll follow someone who's already done it. So like when the doors get opened and people see, oh, hey, like a woman can do it too, makes it easier for someone to say, hey, I can do it. And that's just bringing more people to the game that like, obviously all of us and probably a lot of people watching the pod, like know and love and play. So it's good for everyone.
For sure. Well, again, very, very, and you did cash 11. You had a nice score at Triton. And maybe could you tell us a little bit about your first Triton event? What are some things that are unique to other tours and places you've been? Would you say that Triton stands out to you in terms of the production and the aesthetics? Like, how has your experience been at the event?
By far, the best poker event I've ever played.
Wow.
And congratulations to them, their team, what the effort they put in. They'll have amazing team. Everything I cannot say, like words cannot explain how good this event is. So like you have to come play it, understand exactly. Like I said, I wouldn't want to play any other event but Triton after what I saw. Like the organization, everything was just perfect. You feel comfortable. Everyone knows exactly what's happening. The dealers even know. You ask any information from the dealers and they answer you. That was the first time actually like asking dealers questions and they knew everything.
Right.
So that shows like the difference between Triton and any other event. And obviously, as I said, because it's VIP and it's like much smaller than other events, they can control it a lot better. But I'm sure other events could do very similar.
Right.
If they try.
For sure. And Rast, I know we got to see some magic the other night. So you actually were, it's crazy because one of Antonio Esfandiari is one of our best friends and also is a world-class poker player, also was a magician. He's also from Iran. I know you got to speak with him on my podcast. That was fun where he called in and had a good time. But maybe tell me a little about the magic. And she's legit. Like she's like, it was like, I've seen great tricks from Antonio to kind of leave you questioning like, wow. And you were in that level and it was very impressive. So tell me a little bit about your magic history and when did you actually start? What age were you?
So I always loved playing with cards. I always say this word. I always loved playing with cards. And at the age of 16, I started, I looked at magic and I fell in love with it. I was like, wow, this is super interesting for me. And I remember when I went to this magic show, Larry Safa is a very famous South African magician and he was bending the spoon. And I went to him and I asked him, how did you do it? He said, you must become this spoon and you can bend it. This is like, so I went home, I sat on my bed and I looked, I'm not joking, for like probably 5 hours until the morning. I was staring at the spoon to become the spoon. So then I was like, no, I need to learn this. So I taught myself how to do magic. I got a little bit of information from here, but I created a lot of magic for myself.
Right.
And I started performing as a magician, events, function, and I traveled the world. And then I decided, you know what, I want to pursue more with poker, so I'll put that aside.
And what's more, what would you recommend to someone at home if they're watching? What's easier to become a magician or a professional poker player? Or do you need to do both? Is it a starter pack in the poker?
I think if you have passion with what you do, everything becomes very easy. If you don't have passion and you want to force yourself to learn something, it's not going to be easy. Like, but it was so easy for me because I was not getting tired the amount of time I was putting of learning magic. So I was not and shuffling the cards and making sure like the way I do. Like, it takes hours and hours to make sure you get it correct. So if you don't have passion for it, first like an hour you say, you know what, I cannot do this, and you get up and leave.
Well, I know Rast and I we're gonna try to get at least one trick. Maybe you can show up. That's one of the cardinal rules, right? You have to learn on your own. You can't share anything. Is that do you ever show any friends? Have anyone asked you to help them learn magic? Have you done that?
Yes, there has been like a lot of people ask me, but I don't. Obviously, the same magician never revealed their trick.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, Antonio told me once. He said, "I'll teach you one trick. You got to like learn, do this." He was like showing me, and after you do one, you can come back or whatever. I never went down that path. It does seem tedious, right? It's like anything, golf, poker. You got to put time in. You can't just like do it in 20 minutes and learn a trick,
and
right?
I think like exactly. I think if you want to learn it because you're so excited to know
Yeah.
how this was done, and as soon as you know how it was done, it just like kills it for you. So I always tell people it's best for you to not know, so you're always curious and excited when you see magic.
Right.
Yeah.
As soon as you know it, you're just like, okay, why it's done like this, then it's not exciting anymore, especially if you see how easy it's done.
For sure.
And you cannot catch it.
Right. I have a video of one of the ones. I'm trying to maybe go back and replay, but it's crazy. It really is. There was some like really mind blowing tricks. So it was very cool. I want to ask also about the competitions in Miss Iran Global and these different things you've done. What was that like? And was it just kind of easy for you, or how many years did you compete to win? Tell me a little about your journey with that.
Obviously, nothing comes easy.
Yeah.
I always say when you put your thought in, everything starts with a thought.
Right.
And every day, if you put that thought and do something about it, later on you make those thoughts into reality, into a physical reality. So I always had this thought of being a beauty queen, and standing on a stage, it was at the back of my mind. And
Starting from how old?
I think I was like 9 or 10, and that was
Okay.
in Iran. It was like not possible because you cannot do it in Iran, so everything was held outside of Iran. And even if you watch the Oscars, they say we visualize this, we dreamed about this, but they also put the hard work towards it.
Right.
So I did everything that I could. I was like, I studied fitness and sports science, and I was exercising about 6 hours a day daily, and I was really into it. And I got the offer to participate in the events. I started doing it, and it went like super well for me. And that's when I took the Miss Iran title, went to the Philippines, and competed with 37 countries, and where I won the Miss Fitness in 2016. And also I had other offers from Miss Globals and everything like that to represent Iran, because it was very hard. You want to represent the country, you might not be able to ever go back. The chances that you're taking to pursue your dreams, you're never going to see your family again.
Really, that's for pageant stuff as well. I knew for poker, but I didn't realize that. So what about like when someone wins Miss Iran, and these type of? You're saying they actually like
it's outside of Iran.
Wow, that's fascinating.
So all the girls like outside of Iran, Iranian outside of Iran, that they can participate in this. The girl from Iran, they can also participate outside of Iran, but like it should be like super unknown. But I would never take a chance to go back, because I'm basically playing with my life, even though they say it's okay, you can come back.
Antonio as well says this about poker, right? Like he hasn't gone back.
Yeah, especially like because my pictures was all over social media, all over the internet. She was Miss Fitness. I'm standing in bikini. It's like, it's personally I would not take the chance. So it took a lot of courage, knowing that I might not be able to see my family for a very long time. But I went forward because it was what I wanted to do. I wanted to do that. And Miss Power Woman was also to encourage women, to say, hey, you know what? Nothing is going to stop you. It doesn't matter if I was from Middle East, when I had no money, when I traveled to South Africa, when I had nothing, when I was right at the bottom. My mom looked into my eyes and said, never forget where you are today, but one day you're going to look back and see how far you have gone. And I will never forget this, because I remember the day that she told me this. So it's super important what you put into the children's mind and what to believe. And my career just took off from there, and then the poker came along, and and I just decided at some point I'm going to stop with pageants. I did it. I achieved the things I wanted to.
Right.
And I just decided, I'm going to pursue more with poker career and go and completely 100% into poker. And
so you did that in 2016, and what's the one that you it was Miss Fitness?
I won the title of Miss Fitness 2016, and then 2017 I won the Miss Power Woman world.
Okay, Oh, so it was a couple years and multiple pageants.
Yes, multiple pageants. So the Miss Power Woman was like, when you say Miss Power Woman, people think it's physical, like physiques and things like that. It wasn't that. It was more IQ test, EQ test. It would put you through different challenges, group leadership, to see how mentally powerful you are as a person, as a
not
woman.
powerlifting, but like
Yes, no.
Yeah.
So they did all of these tests on us, and funny enough, when I arrived in Punta Cana, it was in Punta Cana, both my luggage never arrived, so I had no clothes.
Wow.
So throughout this whole 2 weeks event, and we were in this little island, I had to get clothes from the girls to wear through the competition.
Oh, wow.
So it was like super insane. I faced my fears. I did like so many things that I would never do. And at the end of the day, I won. And when I was standing on that stage, I was like shaking. I knew in my heart, I deserve to win this title.
Right.
I deserve. I've done everything. I've put everything out on the table. And when I got it, it was just, again, like I was just so overwhelmed and joy, and I started crying. And they told us, like, you cannot cry there. I was like, I just couldn't hold it back.
Which more? If you had to choose one, which was more? Which felt more?
I'm gonna go with the second one.
No, I'm saying no. Those competitions or the World Series of Poker bracelet.
Oh.
How are they
Yeah.
different? I guess.
Ooh. For me, poker is my biggest passion in
Right.
life. Being a beauty queen was something I always wanted to do.
Right.
And I did it. I proved myself that I can do it. But poker, I cannot compare anything to poker. So definitely the title. And I think the most emotional part of everything I had was this 200K where I busted. I've never had this emotional turmoil. Like in that day, I was completely like finished. I felt exhausted.
Well, maybe Ras can shed some light on this, because I've played some 100K buy-ins. I've never played a 200K. Ras has played 500Ks, 1 millions, and they've gone well. You won one for 7.5 million, right? The 500K, that was a very prestigious one. But you bust 300Ks or a 500K, it hurts, right? Like how can you kind of shed light on that? Because it's not easy, right? It is tough when you bust a big buy-in.
Well, like anything in life, there is some amount of getting used to it. So like the first one you play, or the first couple are different than like as you keep doing it. It's like, it's crazy, but human beings really do get used to doing anything. Like I'm trying to it's like the movie, that documentary where that guy like free solo and is climbing that rock, and you're just like, oh, but you watch him do it and it's like, okay, no problem. Like I'm just doing this amazing, like death-defying feat, but he's good. His like heart rate's barely even changed, right? So yeah, the first time, I even remember like the first WSOP I came to a long time ago, and it's like like the first time you're at a table with like a poker star who you saw on TV, and it's like, oh wow, I'm playing with like Chris Ferguson, and nothing except you've actually like seen this guy on TV.
Yeah, he's in
just
some
like
commercials
remember it, but then at some point all that stuff just becomes normal. So yeah, the first one, you probably will not feel like that again, because now you had that feeling, and the next time, it'll be like a little more normal, and it just kind of keeps going that way.
Yeah. And are you from that experience, are you feeling, oh, I can't wait for the next one, or that was so intense, like, all right, because these don't happen every day either.
Of course I'm waiting for the next one. I always say, like, I love challenges.
Yeah.
I live by doing little things every day to learn something more, or to put myself through challenges or difficult things to be able to basically like solve it, or to do better the next time. I'm looking forward to the next one.
Very nice. And you use the word there, solve. I got to ask, people nowadays, there's so much tools in poker. What is your methodology? Do you like to watch final tables review? Do you do anything with coaches or some work? How do you improve your poker game? And don't give us all the secrets if you're deep in the PO solver.
I just give you briefly. Obviously, I use some solvers, and I have coaches. Like I studied with coaches, some of the top poker players in the world, and I go through hands with the players. Like if I think there's something, I'll ask them about the hands, go through it, and I think you can't do more than that. I studied the ranges. Every 6 months, everything changed. So it doesn't matter how much you study. You must keep studying. You must keep learning every day. So that's what the one exciting part of poker is. Just like it doesn't end. So
what is the regular game do you play, or regular games? Like, are you more a cash player, tournament? Is it really both, or just to
I play both. I think I used to play a lot more tournaments before,
Okay.
and since when during COVID I started playing more cash games because it was like everything was online, and there was some like good tournaments online, and I started playing more cash games. I do because I don't know how would I like rate myself cash game player or poker player. I'm both because I
Yeah,
love
no.
both. So
Yeah, which is totally fine. I'm just like tell the people like
yes,
we're all
I play
first.
both. Like I studied both. I understand both games. Like a lot of people say, "Oh, you've been playing like cash game for all of this. Do you want to just jump straight into tournament? Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yes, I'm okay because I understand. What I'm doing."
Do you have a preference in terms of what you like more, and also do you have a preference in terms of which one you think you think you're better at?
Um, I think because I mean in this field, if I have to say like in Triton field, like coming for a first
No,
time,
not necessarily just Triton. Like let's say cash or tournaments. Which do you prefer, and which do you think?
Yeah, like
you're
say
better at?
$100,000 main event Triton or 100,000 you buy in for a cash game. Which is
definitely Triton.
like a
You
tournament.
prefer?
Tournament.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
definitely.
Nice. It is, but tournaments are fun, right? They're fun. You get
As I say,
chips.
it's more
You
challenge.
can win.
It's
There's a
more
result.
challenge.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. And where is your goal now for poker in terms of being an? Would you like to be an ambassador for a site? Would you like to win a certain amount of money or bracelets? What is the goals for you?
I would love to be an ambassador. I like to get staked. Like I think every poker player have that in mind. But I've been trying, working hard, doing different businesses, and then putting my own money every single time. Putting money and playing like 30K, 50K. I sell like some actions here and there, but it's like it's nice to know that as a woman, when I tried for this many years and I get far, see some appreciation in a Pokeball. Not just like brush me under the carpet and not notice me. Even though you see, I try my social media to bring it up more and talk about it, but I felt like I go unnoticed, especially like playing all of these events, and obviously you talking to me now about it, which is like really good. Maybe they don't know it, or maybe they've never seen me in a Pokeball, but I would love to see some appreciation. So other women can say, you know what, she's done it, she got noticed, she got somewhere. Not like I've seen so many just because I'm an Iranian, it's a disadvantage. It shouldn't be. We are all human,
Right.
and we all here to play poker and to be good and to win something. So to just divide me just because I'm an Iranian, okay, just because she's an American girl, or from Europe, like these girls, they come and get like sponsored so quickly, and then do you understand what I
Yeah.
mean? It hurts me, but at the same time I don't let that hurt to push me back. I fight more for what I want. That's why I'm here today. I'm playing the Triton events.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's also why you're here from our perspective, because, yeah, I mean, we want to support you with that. Think it's great. Obviously, saw you out there playing well and crushing, and are like, okay, let's go. Let's give some shine. I just want to say that, after you get your sponsorship, you win all the bracelets and money, and you're super big time. Just remember us here at Big Free,
Big
and maybe
Free,
come
yeah,
back on for pods, right?
yes.
Of course I would.
All
And
right.
I said how many times. I really appreciate that these
Yeah.
two guys are actually putting effort and having this interview with me to put my words out there for women. Never give up. Try your best. If you want to do it, it doesn't matter. There's many people going to be in life telling you that you can't do it because they don't believe that you can. It's because they don't believe that they can.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that you should stop and
For
feel
sure.
bad about it. Like as I said today, like some guys, they told me like, no, you shouldn't play this because it's a hard field. But like, why? I know I can. I know I'm capable of, and it's a baby steps for me to go forward.
Very, very nice.
I mean, I don't know. I don't work for a poker site really, but I do think that the promotioner, sorry, what was the term? I feel
Ambassador?
Ambassador.
There you go.
I mean, I feel like that's going to happen. I think. I mean, this was huge exposure, and I think you kind of showed the world that you can hang with your cash and some of the hands you played, and I mean, it's like you also have a really interesting story. It's not just like, oh hey, I'm young and I like started playing poker and that's it. No, I mean, all the other things you just enumerated that you did on this podcast, like I feel like add to that. And why, I don't know, from my humble opinion, you know, a poker site could get behind making you part of their brand, you know? So
yeah, I mean, I think luck is when preparation meets opportunity. I love that quote that's been said before. And I think, again, you're putting yourself in constant situations where you have a chance to succeed, right? You're putting yourself out there in competitions, doing magic, right? You do magic in front of people. It's stressful, or a comedian, or playing poker, or whatever you're doing. You've done a lot of these things. So yeah, you have our endorsement, Brian Rast and myself, Jeff Gross. This on Big Free, we want to really wish you guys back into the show. Thank you so much to Melika for coming on. I don't know if you have any closing questions, Rast. I do want to tell, where can people follow you on socials?
They can follow me on Instagram, Melika Razavi. And, you know, I'm not active anywhere else really, but I do updates on my stories on Instagram. When I travel to Monaco, Barcelona, wherever I go that's poker, I'm updating on Instagram what's happening. So you can follow me there.
Very cool. I know we've covered a lot. And again, I have had an interview with Melika before on my podcast, Jeff Gross Podcast. You guys can check that full interview out. We'll put that in the show more, as well as her Instagram. And Rast, do you have any closing thoughts, words, or we covered a lot today on Big Free. It's good to be back.
I kind of feel like my closing thought was the one I just said about the ambassadorship. You know, I mean, like definitely should happen. Let's stamp it.
We'll stamp it on there. You guys heard it first.
Let's bet within a year.
Okay. All right.
I think
I'm not taking that action.
What happened at Triton will, I mean, you coming out here, and I mean, the visibility on Triton's obviously super big. So yeah, you came, and, you know, not only did you participate, but I mean, you had a run in the 30. Yeah.
Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate it. And next time, hopefully, when I'm doing an interview with you two, I will be ambassador.
All right. You guys heard it first. Big Free, another one of the books. We'll see you guys more soon than last time. We took a little break. It was summertime traveling, but we'll be back. Got a lot of guests lined up. We'll have a lot of fun. And thank you for watching.
Bye. Thank you so much.